So welcome back to my channel. If you're a regular watcher, this is just going to review the last few matches on Heron. So 4 matches I'm going to talk about. So the first match is me just loading up a feeder on peg 6, which is not really a preferred area, to be honest with you. I've just started using the Preston little 15 gram pellet feeders, which I really like, especially as the hook length is actually external from the feeder. So the hook length runs from the bottom and not as actually inside. Because when you keep pushing your bait in, especially when you're fishing finer lines, I have noticed that whatchamacallit does actually damage it. I wouldn't go anything lower than 0.14 really, because some of the bites are really savage, even though the water's absolutely freezing. So I don't know if you just noticed then, the bite was pretty aggressive, I guess, because I obviously only got a 4-inch hook length. Now it's really important that your reel line's not too thick. Don't really want to be using like 8-pound freaking main line or anything like that. So I've got like a 6-pound, or might even be a 5-pound. I've got so your reel line wants to be like an 0.18 or even an 0.20. So nothing too crazy, because otherwise you just haven't got balanced tackle at all. If you've got like an 8-pound or 10-pound reel line, then you know, using fine hook lengths is just not balanced tackle at all, and you're going to have all sorts of problems. In other words, you're going to unfortunately get cracked off. And if you fish like 0.18 hook lengths and 0.16 hook lengths, then you ain't going to get as many. So for me, hook baits on the feeder by far has been pellets. Now, if it's been really hard, like as in you draw a very poor area, then my suggestion would be fishing like an 0.14 4-inch hook length, little tiny baits spike, 18 hook, and fish a 4mm expander. I wouldn't hook the expander. I'd literally just put a bait needle through it and use a little tiny like quick stop. That's my suggestion. Also, little tiny lasso fishery 4mm pellet. If you just put them in a little bit of water, let them soak a tiny bit, and then take it off, it just takes the edge off them. And then also when you lasso it, it's like almost like lassoing like quite a softish sort of pellet, and you can dig your lasso right into it. That can work really well as well. And also another tip is to wait for bites. When you chuck it tight against the far bank, which is what they seem to be at the moment, then just sit there and wait. Sometimes you get a couple of little liners, then you'll get a bite, and sometimes you just get a bite out of the blue. So it depends on what area you sort of draw. For me, long pole has been key. Some of the bites on the long pole, wow, some of the bites on the pole have been the smallest little tiny dinks. So any sort of like movement, dink, sometimes even your float might move slightly, just lift, and you might have an F1 or even a carp on you know, on the end. Now, I don't care what anyone says, in my opinion, you know, you're probably getting lots of bites potentially on the feeder, which you're not even seeing. So even the best of the feeder anglers, you know, I believe you only get the stupid fish on the feeder. You know, some of the bites have been really, really aggressive, you know, constant pulls, whereas on a pole, gosh, you know, it's next to nothing. I appreciate fishing a feeder is almost like a bolt rig, very small hook lengths, etc. But even still, I honestly believe that we're getting bites on the feeder, which we're not seeing. So fish might suck your hook bait up, blow it out, and the tip ain't even moved. That's just my opinion. So if I can, you want to try and catch on the pole. Pole is a bit of a funny thing. Sometimes you might have to wait 10 minutes, quarter of an hour to get a bite. And they seem to, obviously they're shoal fish, so when they arrive, normally get quite a few. You'd be very unlucky if you don't catch a run of fish. But, you know, I've been quite lucky. The pegs I've drawn is 6, which is not really a great area, but I've had 6, won my section off there in the Winter League, which was nice. It did fish hard. I only had 15-pound line, but it was freezing. There's 20 on the lake. And then I drew peg 21 where I am now on a Thursday match. There's only 10 of us fishing. And I won the match on that, which was nice. And then I drew peg 21 the following Thursday and had a nice run of fish on that at 65-pound, which was nice, all on the pole. And then I fished the Christmas match, which was yesterday. I drew peg 3, which I really did not fancy very much, but you were fishing for sections, so you done sections of 6, and my section was peg 24, peg 2, 3, where I was, peg 4, 6, and 7. So I felt I had a chance, you know, so the way you done the peg in, I thought Andy done a good job, and I'm not saying that to be a brown noser, you know, quite difficult pegging matches at times. So he sort of split the lake, put 18 of us on Heron, and he split it for sections of 3. So yeah, it was nice. And then also what he done for the lakes is he done 2 hampers as well. So for the overall, so Kill Bill on peg 9 beat me by 2 ounces. I had £29.14, and Kill Bill had £30 dead. He caught on the waggler, just 1 maggots. But talking through my sort of tactics, gear wise, I'm just using 09 hook lengths on the pole to a Guru F1 eyed hook, which I really like. I've just tied like a knotless knot. And I sometimes might use a little lasso if I can use a Fishery 4mm pellet on a lot of fish. Otherwise, I've been using them on expanded pellets. Just feeding next to nothing as well, just dripping in some micro pellets. So nothing too special. And then just got a bulk 4-inch hook length. And that's it really. I mean, I just feel like lifting and dropping, just sort of like capitalizing on your bites. One thing I will say is I've been feeding like after I've hooked the fish. So if you watch the video and carry on watching the video, you'll see that what I try and do is feed once I've hooked the fish. So I've got a Dan's 1.4 elastic, which is very light, through my top 2 of my Garbo pole. And basically, as soon as I hook the fish, then I just turn the pole over, tap the pellets in, and then bring the fish back. And then what I think that does is it just makes you a bit more productive, because the fish then settle on it, and you're not waiting so long for bites. Because sometimes when you feed it, I feel like it takes a while for them fish then to come to it, if that makes sense. You know, it's not like summertime where they're like piranhas. They're obviously a lot more sort of lethargic, a little bit more sort of like coy, as in like they're a bit more sort of shy, because obviously water's very clear and they're shoal fish, and obviously you're catching them, which is going to cause a little bit of disturbance. So if you look here, look, just lift it up into a fish, and turn the pole over and tap some pellets out. Bit lucky that when I've hooked this fish, because I believe this is right near the end of the match.
Well done, Chris.
So yeah. Right.
Oh, cheers. I'm not sure if you boys mean it. Morning, Derek. Hey, Derek, I'm going to walk round in a minute and ask what you caught.
What ground bait do you use then, Chris? I know.
And thank you to Karen and Andy for hosting such a great Christmas match. And I'm not just saying that because obviously I've done all right. They spent a lot of time obviously doing the hampers, and they've done some hot dogs for us, and make everyone feel welcome. So great job.